Hi there everyone, welcome along to Subiaco Oval for Game 2 in Group 2 of the Ansett Australia Cup. That's right, King football is back, and tonight it's the West Coast Eagles taking on the Kangaroos. The West Coast Eagles coming off a disappointing season, and the Kangaroos, by their standards, coming off a disappointing finals campaign. Chris Mainwaring joins me now, and Chris, the West Coast Eagles have made a few changes, particularly at the top.
That's right, the major change, and a lot of the talk over the summer was who was going to captain the West Coast Eagles. They broke with tradition, they went with co-captains, they went with the veteran Dean Kemp and the young up-and-coming, well, I shouldn't say up-and-coming because he's the young gun in Ben Cousins. Dean Kemp, absolutely fantastic. He had a great year last year. He was runner-up in the best and first. There you can see he was best and first back in '92. His record speaks for itself. He would probably be the most popular player at the club, Dennis. So, you know, most of the players have been very happy with that. Over the summer also, he's, well, just during the summer, he had the birth of his young son, Sony, so he's got a couple of things now he needs to lead, but I think the club have made a very wise decision in putting Dean in charge.
You made the point. Great season last year, 24 possessions he averaged, up from 16 the previous year. So Dean Kemp, one of the co-captains, as we take a look at the squad for the West Coast Eagles. Not exactly a who's who, it's more a who's he as far as tonight's concerned.
And as you can have a look, the players in the red there's 8 new players, either young players or people that they've traded in. Greg Harding, of course, has come from the Fremantle Dockers. Young Cox was on the list last year, won the Simpson medal in the grand final. Daniel Kerr, we'll speak about him later on. Troy Wilson, a lot of talk about this big fella. It's a shame Mickey Martin not's here tonight. Jeremy Hunt, he's a young Victorian kid, and then we've got McCurry, Carroll and Miller. So a fairly good lineup, but a very young lineup. And
some new old faces as far as the Kangaroos are concerned. They're very good at recycling players.
Dennis Pagan, he's brilliant at this, isn't he?
Yep.
Giving these players an opportunity, and have a look at some of the names on the screen there, and haven't they performed excellently for the blue and whites? Winston Abraham's been fantastic, but let's speak of Sav Rocker.
Need a question mark down the bottom. How do you think he'll go?
Well, he's 7 kilos lighter, and he's kicked 514 AFL goals, so any player who can do that must be some sort of a player. And I just think giving players an opportunity, I think he'll be disappointed that Mick Malthouse told him that his career was over, and I think he will prove a real thorn in the side of many a side.
Jess Sinclair.
Well, he was a bit of a cult figure down at the Fremantle Dockers, wasn't he?
Exciting player. Yeah. When he was on, he was terrific.
And he wasn't afraid to put his body on the line. I still remember that bumper out here at Subiaco Oval on the wing against Johnny Worsfold. 10 games he only played for the Dockers last year. Started off brilliantly his first 2 seasons, but he really did just peter out, didn't he?
He did. Gets another chance then with the Kangaroos, as we say, masters of doing this. And Joe McLaren, interesting player. Dogged by injury last year. I saw him late in the season, though. He's still got some goal kicking now. So I like the way he goes about his business. Had
a great year in 1999 at the Saints. He was 7th in their first and best. Last year, just injury got the better of him, I suppose, in a bit of bad form. So he's moved along. Dennis has picked him up.
Let's take a look at the Kangaroo squad, minus Wayne Carey and Mickey Martin tonight.
It's still a very experienced side there. You've got 10...
Well, by comparison.
Yeah, you've got 10 players that played 20 or more games in that team tonight, as opposed to the Eagles 4. You can have a look at there, some of their new young players. Pratt, we mentioned Rocker, young Harding. Dylan Smith, he's an exciting player. But that's in a very experienced... The Eagles are going to find it tough, I think, tonight, Dennis.
Absolutely.
I think we'll have to be honest about that.
Well, talking about exciting players, right now let's meet some Ansett Future Flyers.
Ansett Future Flyers.
And let's start with Daniel Kerr. His dad used to play for East Fremantle, taken 18th in the draft, an exciting young player on the wing or on the ball.
That's right. He was played for Aquinas in the Alcott Cup over here in Western Australia, and was their fairest and best, and was coached by Peter Spencer, former Sandover medalist. His father Roger played with him, so he's certainly got football blood in him. And this young fella, Dylan Smith, he was All-Australian in both under-16s and under-18, and was the captain of the Vic Metro last year. Pretty exciting.
Number 6 in the draft.
Perhaps he's the new Peter Bell.
We'll see. Big boots to fill.
Yeah,
We're set to go. It's Game 2 in Group 2 of the Ansett Australia Cup from Subiaco Oval. The West Coast Eagles and the Kangaroos set to kick it off. Back with all of the action right after this. So a new face here on Channel 7, joining Chris and myself, former Fremantle captain and Hawthorn best and fairest Ben Allen down on the boundary right now with Adrian Barrage.
Thank you, Dennis. Yes, Benny's with you. Benny, looking at those pictures, you don't look that different from when you played.
Well, nothing like these blokes behind me, Barrett. It's February 16, and just watching a couple of minutes how fast and hard they go. They're incredible now, aren't they? But I'm wrapped to be part of the Ansett Cup team with Channel 7 and looking forward to it.
Good on you, Benny. Welcome to the team. What do you think about tonight's game?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, obviously the Eagles are depleted, but there's a couple of guys to look at. Troy Wilson in particular. Let's hope he gets a crack at Archer, and a couple of young players to look out for. In particular, Daniel Kerr. I reckon he's a real find. He actually reminds me, believe it or not, of Philip Narkle. The great Philip Narkle, who played for Swan Districts, the local product, and went on and had a great career for St Kilda and the West Coast.
Overall, you'd have to tip the Kangaroos tonight?
They're too strong. They are a very, very professional outfit. They're reeling from their loss to Melbourne in last year's final. They've only not brought over Carey and Martin. The rest are all here. They are the most professional outfit out there in the AFL.
So you've named Daniel Kerr as one of the kids you're interested in watching and you think's got a big future. Anyone else at West Coast?
Well, there's a couple. I mean, opportunity is what the young guys want at this time of the year. You've got Callum Chambers coming in and young Kane Munro as well. I think those are a couple that'll certainly get a chance at this Ansett Cup. If they go okay, no doubt they can cement a place early in the season.
All right, one of our jobs down here is to give a weather report. It's quite muggy. We've got our jackets off. What do you reckon? Any rain today?
Well, it's pretty dark up there, isn't it, mate? Thank goodness we're not in Darwin. We'll be underwater, but it's a little bit humid, but the players are very fit. They'll be able to respond to this.
All right, Dan, the new man's on board. I'm going to send him up to the commentary box now. If he can find his way, he'll be up in about 15 minutes, I reckon. It's a fair way up, Benny. Benny, welcome to the team. Dan, down here, they've got Ice Fest, they've got fans, they've got hoses ready to go. It is quite muggy. It's going to suit the West Coast Eagles, but I guess we're tipping the Kangaroos.
I think just, mate, a bit too strong.
Dan, back to you.
Thanks, guys. So Ben wends his way up to the commentary position on what is a steamy night. He'll work up a sweat. 29 degrees currently. It was over 30 today and very humid. There's Sav Rocker on the forward line. Just 27 goals last season. He batted 93 back in 95, but he's never kicked many goals in Perth. Has a total of 7 here at Subi and 1 at the Wacker. Maybe not the best place to start a new career. The new captain, the only captain out there tonight for the West Coast Eagles. Anthony Stevens won the toss. The Kangaroos going right to left. Game 2 in Group 2 of the Ansett Australia Cup. McKernan goes up and thumps it down. Welcome to the footy season.
Yep.
Morrison gets a free kick. He was the target though, alongside the centre circle. Pops it in short. This is Fletcher inside the centre square. Fletcher kicks inside the 50. Wilson hits them hard. Makepeace felt that one. Camped in front. It's Grant. Boots it out wide. And the ball runs out of bounds. One thing Troy Wilson will do on the lead is hit people, friend and foe.
Yes, he leads very hard and he's not afraid to go through the packs. Very interesting, David Wirapunda, who we noticed had a fantastic start last year out of back pocket, is playing in through the midfield at the moment.
Now McKernan was held, and they're going to be red hot on that. So he gets a free kick, the defensive side of left centre wing. Big assignment to young Cox. McKernan kicking towards half forward. Wirapunda was up. The crowd will love to see him back in action. William Sock is off the deck. Pickett's got the run of it. This is Harvey. Harvey on the wing feeds it back to Grant. Shannon Grant forward of the wing. Kicking down towards half forward. Glass goes up uncontested. Takes the mark to the West Coast Eagles.
Eagles just playing with a spare man in defence at the moment, Dennis, so basically North played into their hands just then.
McIntosh. This is Williams. From half back, a high ball inside the centre square. Colbert was up. Wirapunda waiting behind. Smothered off the boot. It ricochets inside the 50. Slapped out wide there towards the boundary line. The Kangaroos, I think, wanting it out. McKernan goes again. This time he applies a tackle. Swooping on the loose ball is Pickett. Gets the hand pass away to McCartney. McCartney tumbles it back towards midfield, and Archer, look out, charging through Harvey. Harvey's away alongside a larger centre circle. He kicks down towards half forward. Sav Rocker. He's marked about 52 out.
And he's got a kick from 52 out because there was no one inside that 50-metre arc. All the North players had pushed up to come and help their defensive players. And Big Sav the opportunity to make his mark very early in this game, in his first game since crossing over to the Roos.
It's a new jumper, but he fills it pretty well. Severio Rocker just outside the 50. Always been a long kick. It falls about 5 metres short. and it's going to be a mark in front to the West Coast Eagles. Goal umpire saying a behind, but that's not the case. The Eagles coming up with it down there. It'll be young Cox to take the kick.
I mentioned in the pre-game report, Dean Cox was the Simpson-Millis in the grand final here in Western Australia. We've got big things for him this year. Hopefully that he can play a few games and help out Michael Gardner through the ruck, because Ryan Turnbull will also be helping out.
Greg Harding, a former Docker, spears the ball in towards midfield. Embley, the quick hand pass away. Fletcher kicks it down towards half forward, taken by Kerr. Not a good hand pass. Chance now for Smith, or was it Sinclair? Sinclair's hand pass sold a teammate into trouble. Embley charges through, runs inside the 50, kicked his head brilliantly and pulls it back to Wilson. And Ben's up here at last, puffing and panting.
But that was brilliant, wasn't it, by Embley? That's one thing I reckon the West Coast have lacked the last couple of years, a hard man, and just that momentum on the footy that Embley, he just attacked. It just opens up the space and allowed Troy Wilson just pop out. Good little chip inboard as well. Just nice little, gave it a bit of air. Wilson ran onto it.
And actually, going back to, we watched the Eagles in a practice match last Friday, Ben, and it's exactly what they did all day, wasn't it? They came back in through to the corridor. And one of the things we mentioned already, Troy Wilson leads straight up, leads hard. And let's see if he can put one through.
Drafted at 28, he's turned 29. His first kick is a goal.
And pretty important too for him to just put that through too, Ben, you know, to get his confidence going. One of the things we thought that perhaps is that his kicking could be a bit suspect, but probably about 35 out in front is his best distance.
Well, he's a different recruit, isn't he? He's 28. There we see Embley coming through. He's just attacked that ball very, very hard. Jess Sinclair probably should have gone the tackle then. He's gone to bump him, but Troy Wilson, he stitched up Ashley McIntosh in the trial match last week, kicked 4 or 5 goals on him. He's going to be a find for the Eagles.
So the ruckman with a bit more freedom. Eagle circle. Come from right angles. In fact, Cox ran into the umpire. The umpires tonight, Corcoran, Goldspink and Fussell. And it's going to be a free kick to the Kangaroos. It'll be taken, I think, by Harvey. Here's Harvey. In fact, it's not his kick. McKernan decides it is his kick, takes it, hand passes to Harvey, and Harvey kicks down towards half forward. Lang is the target down there, worked his way in front. Sinclair the loose ball, pulls it back towards the middle, in from the side. Young Smith takes the mark on his chest. Dylan Smith, number 6 in the draft, a chance to level the scores from 25 metres out.
It was good crumbing by Sinclair there, wasn't it, Chris? It was on his non-preferred side, the right foot across his left part of his body, but it's popped it up in the air, and it's in a dangerous position for the West Coast Eagles defenders. It wasn't a great kick, wasn't lace up, but just allowed a forward like this young kid to come on and mark it.
And playing in front, the right position.
Yep.
So 2 extremes, the veteran for the Eagles and the young Tyro. The result's the same.
It didn't take the Roos there long to respond, and basically where they got that was really out of the centre. And we all know how important it is to gain those centre breaks. It's going to be very important for the Eagles to make sure that they man up on their plays in there. We've got that new rule with the centre square there. It's a 7-metre diameter square, with a diameter circle, I should say. We've got rid of the line where basically the ruckman can come in any direction. So it's a new rule and it'll be quite interesting.
And just looking at the ruckman, they're side by side now. Under the new rule, they can come from any direction, and this is the first time they will lock up inside the centre circle. One down by McKernan effectively. Archer kicks towards half forward, and Harding was hanging on, and they're going to be red hot on that. They've said that this year. The players have been warned, and the free kick on the outer side to be taken by Shannon Grant. Plays on, moves infield, kicks a probing one down towards full forward. McIntosh did well, angles the punch away towards the boundary. Harvey goes after it, but the ball is out of bounds.
Dan, I'll just give you the Eagles bench. Very, very young bench for the Eagles. Antonowitz is there, Haynes, Hunter, Hum, McCarry and Miller.
Think of the cost of car insurance for that group. Boundary throw in, taken by Simpson, smothered off the boot. It goes high in the air. In there is Fletcher, knocking it around, and it trickles out of bounds again.
A couple of the early matchups in the game. We've got Joe McLaren actually picking up Dean Kemp, and Drew Bamford's trying to pick up Shannon Grant. So a couple of key midfield matchups there.
Rocker out of the throw-in. Kicks it out of bounds on the full. Well, quick thinking. Used his strength, but the end result not good. And that's an area that's going to be tough for the West Coast Eagles all night long. The short one comes across to McIntosh, hard against the boundary line. It's a goal apiece, the early going. McIntosh to Glass, about 25 metres out from his own defensive area. Glass kicks it up towards the wing. Well played by the man in front, Makepeace. Hit the ball hard. Now he wants to run away. Harvey looking to shepherd. Kerr battles Harvey. Meantime, Makepeace kicks inside the 50. Leaping from behind. The fist away by Jones. Taken by McLaren. Smothered off the boot. Kemp ricochets to Jones. Jones kicks it out wide. We're a Punter and Pickett. This will be interesting. Awkward bounce. Swooping on the loose ball. Chambers brilliantly done. Fit it back inside. Munro running down towards centre half forward. Long kick. Wilson outnumbered. Did well. Goes back after it. With him there is Colbert. And Wilson did pretty well for the West Coast Eagles. It's out of bounds.
Yeah, she did brilliantly there, Dennis, because it was 3-on-1 there at one stage. Lee Colbert came across to try and assist McCartney there, and just the ability of Troy Wilson to keep the ball in the Eagles' forward zone. That was all that could have been asked for him, and he did it.
McKernan and Cox. Cox does well, flicks it down, could make a goal. Wirapunda could make a return. Oh, he got it to go at right angles.
The exciting David Wirapunda, and I think the crowd are glad to see him back out on the field. So unfortunate that he copped an injury last year, and what a great matchup. What between Byron Pickett and David Wirapunda. We'll look forward to seeing how that goes tonight.
Ben, didn't Cox do well?
He did, but just that thing on Pickett at Wirapunda, you just can't allow Wirapunda to be goal side of his opponent. So Pickett's just got to be wary of that. He's got it.
In front, the mark is taken by the Eagles once more. And this is Trent Carroll, former Docker. A few of them out there tonight. Looks completely different.
I was just going to say they do, don't they, in the opposition jumpers?
Well, he's cut off his hair, of course, as well, mate. This distance, I reckon, if he makes it, it'll have to be his Sunday best.
On a Friday night. He tugs it to the left. They'll contest about 5 metres out. Fisted down in front. They'll bring it away. No real pressure on. Swung out wide by Smith, but only as far as this man. That's Kerr. On short is Fletcher. Shows a bit of the ball to the defence, but they can't get there in time, and Kerr's taken the mark just inside the 50. Or rather, Fletcher's taken the mark just inside the 50. Goes short. Well worked. Cox has got it 35 metres out directly in front.
This is exactly what we were talking about before. Obviously, the Eagles, over this summer break, have made it a point of bringing the ball continually back through the corridor, and they're getting their taller players down through there. In previous years, I suppose, the likes of Mitchell White and Fraser Gehrig, they've tended to go wide onto the flanks. But Dean Cox, he's the tallest player in the Eagles, and a good choice to kick it to him.
Gets under this one. Kicks it very high and to the left of the high.
I read somewhere where Dean Cox said if he could change one thing in the world, he'd have all the door frames moved to 8 foot instead of 6'6", so he could get underneath them.
Interesting matchup as well on the Kangaroos half-forward line. We've got Adam Simpson playing half-forward. Looks like he's got a tagging role on Peter Matera.
Makepeace to himself, then plays on very wide. Colbert will need to go. It pitches just inside the field of play. Carroll did well. No, he took it across the line. It was very close. He got the ball away. Morrison was off, but the umpire right there alongside them wants to toss it in. McKernan with the run, gets some body on Carroll, takes clean possession. It's going to be a problem. Smothered off the boot. Banfield's got it. Smith got him. Loose ball. Kerr charges in. Banfield picks it up. Plenty of company trying to get out of there. Fletcher gets it to Carroll. Kept his head brilliantly. He looked towards goal, but he just checked off. Obviously heard the voice to the middle, and Morrison now 35 metres out directly in front.
Just very good work by the midfield players from the Eagles at the moment. They're continually just building that wall, and it's been very difficult for the Roos to get it out of that back zone. They've really got to get the score on the board, though, for the Eagles.
Chad Morrison. This one hits the post halfway up, so they're not taking their chances. They could lead by a couple of goals. As it is, they're up by, what is it, 3 points? Makepeace has been sacked. Pickett to bring it in. Pickett, long kick towards the outer side, isolating the ruckman out there, and McKernan in front gets the free kick. Not bad policy.
I think that's an example of that little holding rule, Dennis, that I'm sure we'll see a lot more of tonight.
Around the outer side, Kerr did well to punch it away. Abraham taken strongly by Harding. Two old teammates. A chance though for the Kangaroos to work it forward. Sinclair, the looping hand pass. Awkward bounce there for Smith. Head down was Cox. It stumbles across towards midfield and Murapunda. Tackled by Pickett, but not before he got the ball across to Callum Chambers. Socket off the ground by Fletcher. Ricocheted off Kemp, taken by Cox. Here's a chance now for Sinclair coming through his Makepeace. Kept it in front, Makepeace in the opposite direction. Missed by Abraham. Archer onto the loose ball with some time now. Sweeping hand pass. Releases Rawlings. Rawlings down towards half forward. Over the top to Simpson. Simpson 45 metres out. Had a little more time than he thought. And he puts it through for a behind. They're out of bounds on the full.
Which is pretty intense at the moment. The boys aren't frightened to throw their bodies in.
McIntosh. This is Jones. He's at left half back. 7.5 minutes remaining in this opening term. And the Eagles showing plenty of spirit. They're getting a free kick. It's going against Colbert on the outer side. Taken by Carroll. He's been busy.
He's been good, actually. Pretty lively at half forward, and I don't think Lee Colbert's got much cause for complaint there, Dan.
Offhand, sent away on his left foot, Fletcher. He should kick this one, and he's missed. Well, they don't come much easier than that. I know it's easy to say from up here, but a natural left footer just running off the pack like that. It's early season. We'll forgive him.
He's probably one of the better kicks in the Eagles side, especially on that left foot of his. It's normally very, very accurate, this Chad Fletcher.
This is Watt, Shannon Watt, left half back. Up towards the wing goes the kick. Look at that pack, just waiting for the drop of the ball. Carroll reaches over the top, got the punch down. Colbert the hurried kick. Peter Matera in front, fickle bounce. Simpson couldn't control it. Banfield so often so reliable, and again there just knocks it across the line.
Dennis, just the Roos bench by contrast with the Eagles. Lots of experience. Anthony Stevens is there, John Blakey, David King, Lee Harding, Shannon Motlop and Daniel Pratt.
The Matera fell over. Not much breeze to speak of. Sinclair the high kick. Glass goes up, thumps it back. A sense of humour towards the pack. In goes Archer at the base of that pack. The ball up.
Very interesting, just off the ball there, Dennis, that Simpson's still continually getting into Peter Matera. He's getting right in his face. It's February 16, but he's fair dinkum.
Cox goes up and thumps it down. Makepeace gets the hand pass away. Brent Harvey, the will of the wisp, he pulls it back towards the middle. The kick favours the Eagles. Brilliant pick up on the half volley. McIntosh kicks towards midfield and Kemp falls behind them. Now a chance for the Kangaroos. Charging through is Colbert. Whoops. Got it to Cox, not his intention. Harding over the top, taken by Kemp. Nicely done, great poise. This is Morrison. Comes back towards the middle and Glass. Glass forward of half back down towards half forward. Wilson, no, it's Embley. Embley behind took the mark. He read it best. He pulls it back towards full forward. Going back, Pickett. Crowd thought there was a push. Nothing doing. Comes out to Colbert. Makepeace is on up towards the wing. That's the direction the kick takes. Coming back hard, doing brilliantly was Carroll. Makepeace, though, one of 3 Kangaroos there. Kept his feet, kicks up towards the wing. Morrison reaches over the top of Sinclair. Pops it towards the middle. They're working well at the present time. The West Coast Eagles, this is Cox.
This is the important kick, Dennis, for the Eagles. Where they let him down in recent seasons, they've just gone straight to the top of 50, a dangerous area.
Embley a half chance. Kemp more so. Inside the 50. Pulls it around the corner. Didn't have the depth. McCartney goes back, takes the mark, wastes no time, pops it to the pocket. Corcoran's away. Corcoran running up towards half-back, goes for distance, high ball. Watch Abraham from behind, well played by Williams in front. The crumb came down nicely for Fletcher. The hand pass from Glass. Chambers back towards Fletcher. The runner got in the road, that should be a free kick. It will be. It hit the runner, and the umpire going across and having a word and adjudicating. Corcoran off a step, pops it out wide. Around the outer side. Shannon Grant from Simpson. Now Grant looks to the middle. Good pass. Sav Rocker.
And unlike when the Eagles are going forward, North are just doing it very well. They're taking their time, looking for their key forwards, and Savs hoiked that one.
That was a big kick. Chance for Kerr. Goes after it. It spills wide. Picked up by McKernan, who snaps and kicks a goal against the trend of play.
Yeah, as you said there, Dennis, they've just really made the most of the opportunities as the Roos. So far, I'd have to say that the West Coast have really probably controlled this game a little bit more than the Kangaroos have been, but they're just not getting the score on the board, and perhaps it's just that experience we talked about before the game. Just some smart heads there, not panicking too much. And very important for the Eagles to try and make sure that they can keep up with the Kangaroos, because experience will certainly tell as this game goes on.
So the Kangaroos led it by 2 points, approaching quarter time. Now the Rucks come at each other. Sav Rocker having a run on the ball. Cox, who's played very well in this opening term, got it from Kemp. Good hard running mark by Fletcher. A finger tipper about 40 metres out directly in front. He missed one moments ago, closer to goal. And I would say he's a quality young player. He'll be very intent on kicking this one.
It's the beauty of getting a quick kick out of the centre, really, isn't it, Ben?
And there's a skirmish at the other end involving Peter Matera as Fletcher kicks and misses.
And they're going to be very costly, these misses by the West Coast Eagles. Most of them have been dead out in front. They really need to get some majors on the board.
Makepeace runs away from fullback, smothered off the boot. Brilliantly done by Kerr. He's got a chance now. Curry's held without it, surely. No free kick. Whoa. Corcoran hand passes across the goal face, and McCartney is slung through for a behind. Should get a bonus point for that. Well, that seemed like holding the man to Kerr. He did brilliantly to smother. Ooh, if that's not holding the man, it's a full brother. McCartney.
It's just starting to slightly rain out there.
It's had everything to do. Up goes Carroll, follows through on Sinclair. Teammates last season. Down goes Big Sav, who's getting a free kick.
Light rain falling, Dennis. Light rain and very slippery now.
They've thrown Big Sav in the ruck, Dennis, for the last couple of minutes of this quarter.
So Severio kicks it up towards midfield. In from the side, Archer waiting in front there and controlling the ball brilliantly was Abraham. Low down. Comes back there towards Sinclair. The hand pass was untidy. Oh, brilliant tackle, Morrison. Well played, Sinclair. Just got away. Maybe he's a bit damp. It comes down towards half forward. McIntosh thumped it down. Taken by Lang at close quarters. Got it to Abraham. Backpedals out of trouble, Winston. He's on the wing. Where will he go now? Kicks it down towards the 50. In front, a chance for Smith. Playing from behind brilliantly by Matera. Crashing into him was Archer. Meantime, running away is Cox. Cox down towards half forward. Watch for Wilson. Worked in front. But he's outmarked by Rocker. Rocker hits the ground running. Goes towards the outer side and Rawlings. Now Harvey is on for the long one. The kick not good though. Spills off the side of the boot. Comes across to Glass. Harvey could still finish up with it. No Kangaroo inside the 50. So running inside the 50 is Pickett. Lines up and kicks their third goal.
A bit of that experience coming through again, wasn't it, Ben?
Well, it was brilliant from the forwards. Their rate of possession when they go forward, the Kangaroos, is quite small, but they really pounce on. They keep the ball alive when they're in that forward line, but that run down from the back pocket is young Pickett. Wirapunda is his opponent, and that's a real lift for the Kangaroos to have a backman kick a goal.
Interesting, Ken Judge has put Peter Matera back in a back pocket now. Trying to break the shackles of Simpson initially, but he's got problems down there. He's just upsetting these Kangaroos, or vice versa. Rawlings kicking down towards half forward. There's a chance for Banfield, who goes out very wide towards the boundary. Williams leads in the race out there. Rawlings is closing. It's 3-on-1. The clock is running down towards quarter time. Munro gets the hand pass away to Williams. Williams kicks long towards centre half forward. Rocker goes up, greasy ball, missed it, taken by Embley. Fletcher this time, can he kick a goal? Well, he's missed again, that's 3, and he didn't kick through that ball.
Now and again, we just saw Sav Rocker a couple of times now. That first goal, the goal we just saw a moment ago, really came from Big Sav dropping back, and again, just sort of following Cox around a bit, but a bit of a thorn in their side down the back there.
Well, there's good news and there's bad news for Chad Fletcher. He's getting plenty of it. He's not kicking too well. Chambers knocking the ball goalward, comes back intended, I think, for Wilson. A throw is going to be called. Or is it? It's going to be a free kick for the West Coast Eagles. Well, I thought the Eagle tried to get it out.
I think I'm with you, Dennis.
Unless he was taken around the head. Watch
I think
that
Chambers,
again.
yeah, Chambers, I think, got a little one high from Jess.
So Callum Chambers, he finished the season getting a few goals for the West Coast Eagles.
Well, they're the type of players that need to really play well this early to get the Eagles going. Chambers, Fletcher, I mean, they've got the talent there. They just need to do it under pressure of a game.
He's kicking from 40.
That's better.
And that's a lovely kick to goal.
That just goes to show a little bit of pressure there by the young fellas, as you mentioned. They're given the opportunity to come out and impress Ken Judge and the rest of the selectors. 17 players are on the injured list for the Eagles. And just a great opportunity to try and say, hey, we're prepared to play in 2001. One of the things the Eagles were disappointed last year has been the discipline of the players throughout a game, especially as the game's worn on and the game's got away from them. So, very important that they put their body on the line.
Scores are level. 3 goals straight to 2-6. Just over 30 seconds remaining in this term. McKernan up, missed it completely. Kemp goes down. On top of him is Archer. There's a whistle, and this could be the last action of the term. The rain continues to drizzle down. I would have thought interference. McKernan getting a free. Not the case. So the ball runs down towards the 50. One final roll of the dice. Kerr was pushed in the back. Nothing doing. Big scramble about 60 metres out from the Eagles' attacking goal. We'll have a bounce.
Seems very odd at the moment that both sides seem to be playing one-man spare in defence.
Yeah, Shannon Grant just dropped back then, didn't he, Marty, for the Kangaroos?
So quarter time. And that was very interesting. The West Coast Eagles certainly had their chances. A lot of young players, and they were busy. Just taking a look at some of the stats. Chad Fletcher, well, we spoke about his opening term. 9 possessions, but had some chances to kick goals. And Cox started very well. He's had 6. Scores a level. 3 goals to 2-6. Strange night here at Subiaco Oval. The rain has stopped just for the moment. It was just a light drizzle as well, coming off what was a very humid day. It was 29 degrees at about 6 o'clock this evening. The Kangaroos and the West Coast Eagles all square at quarter time, but the Eagles had more of the ball, as you can see, 2-6 to 3 straight. Chambers and Wilson the goals for the Eagles. Smith, Pickett and McKernan the goals for the Kangaroos. Sav Rocker, I was talking about stats earlier. Sav Rocker has had 3 marks and 5 kicks for the Kangaroos to quarter time, so he's been busy. And McKernan 4 and 1, but Chad Fletcher stands out with 9 possessions so far.
And Sav really hasn't been sort of standing up there at full forward either. He's been sort of moving all over the ground, so obviously Dennis Pagan has given him some room to move and just given him the opportunity, I think, to get into the game early.
He's also rotating, as you'd expect this time of the year, a lot of guys through the midfield, Marty. We saw Archer right at the end of that first quarter have a bit of a crack in the midfield, but I did notice Ken Judge at quarter time having well, you could describe it as a heated conversation with Peter Matera.
There was some finger pointing going on.
There was a bit of finger pointing. Peter's just got to remain calm. He's a leader of this team. He just can't get sucked into, I guess, taggers that try and upset him. He's a quality player. He's in the top echelon of this competition, and that's what's going to. He's going to be coming up against that every week.
That's his history. Yes, players do try and suck him in. So the huddles break up. One of the great AFL coaches, without question, his record says that. Dennis Pagan, thoroughly professional, back again, beginning his 8th season. Robert Wiley is down on the boundary with Adrian Barrage.
Thank you, Dennis. Rob, you've got to be happy with the start. Lots of spirit from the boys.
Oh, certainly. The spirit was great. Their enthusiasm and endeavour was terrific. It can't be faulted, but unfortunately they just didn't get the rewards for all their hard work. So, you know, hopefully we can rectify that and get a few goals on the board.
David Wirapunda up forward. Is that an experiment or a matchup?
I think it's just the time of the year where you can throw a few players around and, you know, they're still pretty rusty from the pre-season, but, you know, you're going to try guys out in different positions.
Good on you, Rob. Thanks for joining us. Den, back to you.
Thanks, Barra. Well, Wirapunda's gone back in defence now. He's in a back pocket as we speak. So He's been at the same end of the ground. Now some fancy footwork inside the centre square as players try to match up or lose markers, as the case may be.
Matera and Simpson still seem to be going at it down at full forward, Dennis. There looks like they're going to be at it all night, I'd say.
I think you're right. So far, Ken Judge and the coaching staff of the West Coast Eagles would be delighted, but a long way to go.
Their endeavour has been fantastic. Byron Pickett is loose on the half-back line for the Kangaroos. I don't expect that to be the case for much longer.
Start of the second term, it's 3 goals straight to 2-6. McKernan decisively gets it down to Harvey. Harvey, a high floating kick inside the 50. Glass backing back. Lang trying to knock it goalward. Diving on it is Williams. And I think Williams will get a free kick. Advantage is paid. Harding races away from half-back. Goes out wide. In front Munro. Cochrane tries to knock it away. Still it's Cochrane to the voice of Sinclair. Sinclair, a slick hand pass. They couldn't control it. Arriving quickly was Harvey, but the ball across the boundary line. Brent Harvey had a fine season last season. Boundary throw in outer side. Cox holding his own for the moment. After it goes Harvey, well played. Sinclair on the wing. The hurried kick down towards half forward. And Williams goes up and takes the mark.
The good thing about Andrew Williams, he's pretty versatile. He can either play on a half-back flank, or we have seen him go forward, and he's quite a good kick on goal.
Williams up towards the wing. Embley plays on immediately. Fletcher alongside the centre circle, chips it out wide. Kemp, still Kemp, nicely worked, found some space, manufactured some space, kicks inside the 50, and Wilson at the second attempt. Wilson looks towards the middle, needs to be precise, it wasn't. Archer gets back, knocks it towards the Eagles goal, but played it very well. Pickett, Rawlings is on in the middle. Rawlings has got it now. Has to stop momentarily. Goes for distance. Very high ball towards Lang. Glass is having a good game. He thumps it away from Lang. Out wide. Morrison and Banfield together. So the numbers favour the Eagles. Off his step goes to Harding. And I think he'll prove a valuable acquisition, Greg Harding.
He's been very good early, hasn't he?
Yeah, good running player. If he stays clear of injury, he'll be good value for the West Coast Eagles.
Harding had a couple of boys out wide. He chose to ignore them. They're keeping the ball in the centre corridor, the Eagles. It's quite noticeable.
Jones.
And hoping someone like that can take a mark.
Well, he did. So Jones, about 60 metres out from goal. Plenty of movement on the forward line, and that's good, but the kick doesn't favour the movement. In fact, it favours the defender, and McCartney, who was trailing Wilson, goes back, takes the mark, lays it off to Harvey. Harvey across the goal front. This is Shannon Grant. A runner out wide is Sinclair. It needs to be precise, and it is. Sinclair slides, takes the mark on his knees. Now, I would imagine he'll look back towards the middle. No, he hugs the boundary line. Colbert is there, over the top. Lang, loose ball at the back, half chance for Colbert, could have been taken high. Kemp gets the hand pass away. Glass working in a telephone box, eventually got it to Embley. Nicely worked to Williams. Williams down towards half forward, in best position down there. Munro almost crashing in, defending well was McCartney. Got it on the ground, down goes Grant, met solidly by Wilson, running into an open goal. They've missed again. This time it's Jones.
They're into him.
Wilson's down. Grant's down. That was a few limp balls out there. And oh!
That wasn't limp then.
No, that was head first. That was a pile drive. The Rock would have been proud of that one.
And Shannon Grant is down. Well, let's hope he's okay, but I thought from up here it was a fair bump. The ball was in the vicinity. Wilson's just come out with a hip and shoulder and cleaned him up.
I think you'll find the first person in on the scene may have been Glenn Archer, who was very unhappy with what happened.
Well, we spoke about this before, what Troy Wilson brings to the forward line. Watch it again. Absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No.
In fact, everything right with that.
Yep, he stayed down low. The danger for that one, because I thought Shannon Grant was obviously going for the footy. His head was a little bit low. Wilson may have come over the top of him and hit him very, very high, but he stayed low. His momentum was forward, and that was fair. And I'll tell you what, those young blokes that are playing around Troy Wilson at the moment would be loving it.
Taking a huge lift, wouldn't they?
I can tell you, for the pygmies around there, they've just grown 2 inches.
Well, Troy's got a free kick as well. Out of the mayhem, a chance for the Eagles to increase their lead. Now, in fact, it's going to Jones. The umpire making the point that Troy couldn't be in two places at once. Jones kicks, and what's he done? Oh dear. Byron's enjoying that. And that is an aspect of the game that lets young Jones down. He's a quality player, but his kicking is not the best aspect of his game.
Well, he actually came of age last year, didn't he? He played the 20 games and he came in the top 5 in their best and fairest, but yeah, that was obviously ordinary.
I think you find Wilson's now gone off on the blood rule.
So what happens to the pygmies now? They left to fend for themselves.
They're in some trouble, aren't they? Be interesting to find out if there's been any reports out of that melee that sort of went on afterwards, because there were some players throwing each other around and manhandling each other. And we saw last year between the Eagles and the Dockers where quite a few Eagles aren't out here tonight because of that.
I know it's February, I'm out of form, but I thought I saw some wrestling.
That new rule, Dennis, where he comes straight off the ground with the blood rules applied there too. Wilson comes straight off. David Antonowitz went on.
Makepeace driving towards the outer side. Thank you, Barra. Free kick going to Colbert out there. Lee Colbert off his step, just pops it out wide. He's pretty willing at the moment, and the youngsters taking it right up to the opposition. Now Trent Carroll being spoken to by the umpire.
I think the umpires will be just wanting to get the game under control now, so any ticky touch with free kicks will certainly be handed out, just so that they can just bring the game under their rule.
According to the scoreboard, they've got the Eagles in front by a point. I thought it was that before that last kick. We'll just double check. Well, we're told 19-18 is correct. This is Watt kicking it down towards half forward. In front, Rocker. Loose ball at the back. Who's got the pace? Well worked out of it was Jones. Brilliantly done, Harvey. What a wonderful goal.
Well, that was fantastic effort by a young fella who was one of only 2 Roos players to make All-Australian last year. And that just goes to show a first-class player. He just bumped, I think it was Jones, out of the way here. Didn't infringe on him too much. And in the end, a very polished goal there from young Harvey. And just the thing that the Kangaroos seem to be doing at the moment. They're really making the most of their opportunities, where the Eagles are just spraying them.
8 possessions now for Brent Harvey. Had 32 against the Eagles, round 16 last year. Brilliantly done. It was directed down by Cox to Fletcher with a kick, not the equal of the earlier good work. Pickett takes the sliding mark, and that could well be 50. Umpire right there doesn't do that.
Good to see the umpires now throwing the ball up in the middle, Dennis. There's a couple of earlier bounce down. They went up about 1 metre high.
It's pretty sandy in the middle. The ground looks terrific, but just in the middle, a bit of loose sand as Grant kicks it up towards the wing. Once again, it's the co-captain, Kemp, sending it back in. Matera opts off the contest. Loose ball at the back comes to him. Great experience there by the veteran goal.
I was never going to say, Dean Kemp really didn't have any other option then but to sort of hoik it up, because there was no big man down there to kick it to. And in the end, it's really just fallen into Peter Matera's lap there, Ben.
I reckon it's pretty good coaching too by Ken Jade to actually get him down forward. I mean, we saw all the niggles early on in the back line. It was good play from Embley simply to keep his feet. Colbert falling on the ground is not good for a backman, but good coaching by Judge. Get him up in the action, get his confidence back, kicked a goal. It was well done.
So 3-7, plays 4 straight, second term. Game 2, Group 2 in the Ansett Australia Cup. McKernan goes up and slaps it down. Coming through strongly is Sinclair. High up and under, down towards half forward. Morrison coming from one direction. King effectively knocked it to him across to Glass. He's looking pretty good. Gets the hand pass away to Harding. Harding on the burst down towards half forward. Embley. Slippery ball, missed it. Colbert could have almost got a free. Ricochets across towards Embley. Kicks inside the 50. Look out. Going back was Archer. Peter Matera over the top. Open goal. Beckon soccering off the deck, and missing down there is Trent Carroll.
Well, great passage of play really there. Started on the halfback line there by Glass. And again, Peter Matera involved. We've seen young Dean Cox come off. Looks like a bit of an ankle injury, so David Antonovich has only played 3 AFL games. Now finds himself in the ruck.
Big assignment there. Kangaroos working the ball around the outer side. Abraham worked out of it by Williams. And the ball spills across the line.
One player who's been relatively quiet, maybe have been on the bench for a period of time, is David King. He's up on the half-forward line on Greg Harding now. The Kangaroos, I'm sure, would want to see a bit more action from him.
You think back to last year's final round, 7 goals against the Bombers. Played a lone hand. Can be dangerous on the forward line. Kerr at the base of that. The boundary line is too near, and it will be tossed in yet again.
Well played there by the young fella. He doesn't mind getting in and under. Quite tough, quite fast. They're expecting some big things out of him.
Antonowitz with the run. Thumps it wide. Taken by Abraham. Pulls it back towards the middle. Plenty of Eagles, though. Rapunda with a big roar from the crowd. Tracks it out towards left half back. Accelerates away. Just having a fitness test as he comes down the boundary. Still he goes. Good chase, but Rapunda did well. Across to Antonowitz. Too far, says the umpire.
Yep.
Well, I'm surprised.
Not a home crowd decision, that one, Dennis.
No. Smith. Do it again. Whoops. No. Missed it that time, did Rapunda. Grant's over the ball. Tries to slap it out. Pretty tough in there. Harvey, Sockers to his own advantage, will run onto it close to the boundary line, but there was no angle to make his move. Coming up was Harding, and he pushes him across the line. Gets up limping, is Brent Harvey. There's Cox.
Troy Wilson back on at full forward, Dennis.
Yes. Wide of the pack. Diving on the ball is Williams. Antonowitz applies a very early tackle. It was a lingering tackle as well, and I think Smith will get a free kick. Interesting game so far. A real contrast in terms of experience between these two clubs tonight, but the West Coast Eagles showing a lot of spirit. Can they maintain it? Watt offers a lead. That's ignored. Open goal square, but Smith's kick, he spotted the goal square okay. I think his intention was to try and bounce it through, but the kick wasn't good.
Dennis, Dean Cox has got a hit on his thigh-knee area, doubtful for the rest of the game, and there has been a couple of reports. I'll have the details for you at half-time, but our first reports for the year.
You are a genius. I don't use the word lightly, Barry. It's tossed in, off hands. Abraham twisting, turning, something of a genius too. King snaps, misses. It had missed in any case, but Kerr desperately getting back, just punching it across the line.
So both the Roos players there just playing in front around the goals. You mentioned that and brought it up before, Ben. You've really got to be on the defensive side, so they've got to go between you and the goals to get through. So just got to be a bit smarter there, the defensive players from the Eagles.
Rapunda, Chambers, the defensive side of centre half back. Antonowitz running hard for him. Good policy, running McKernan away from the ball. They take the other side of the ground, but they're outnumbered, so perhaps the wisdom not quite there. Rawlings appear to be held without it by Kemp. No free. Kerr to Jones. Under pressure. Was it out of bounds on the full? No. Bounced across the line as the rain gets a little bit harder. Throw in on the wing. McKernan directs it down, but ill-directed. Chambers breaks away. High ball towards half forward. Munro goes up. Big leap, almost a big grab. Falls to Jones. Jones from 75 metres out again. The kick just falling in short. It bounced short of Colbert. Goes to McCartney. Comes out wide looking for Sinclair. Coming just onto the ground, Stevens, and into the action immediately. Sinclair kicks it up towards the wing. Grant's got it now. Breaking for him is King. He thinks about King. Decides instead to go back to the middle. Watch for Williams from the side. He punches it away. Taken by Glass. Tried to slip it through. Makepeace was there. Thumped away by Rocker. Now a great chance for Stevens with his natural foot. But that's a terrible effort. Anthony Stevens just on the ground and showing it.
This rain's certainly having a little bit of effect on some of the disposals just at the moment.
Just looking in general play, Joe McLaren is doing a great job on Dean Kemp, I reckon. Not noted as a tagger. He's more of a elusive player, McLaren, at St Kilda, but he's certainly sticking to his task on Dean Kemp.
David Wirapunda, I would think already the verdict is he's all the way back. He's looking pretty good tonight. What do you think, fellas?
I like him in the back line, Dennis, I've got to admit. Just his ability to break a line, he really can set up a lot of attacks for West Coast back there.
Rapunda wide, looking for Banfield. Up he goes, couldn't complete the mark. Antonowitz got it across to Embley. Spills across to support. They lose it though eventually. Errant hand pass. The kick comes in from Abraham. It spills across to King. And King blazes away and misses to the right-hand side.
There's always going to be dangerous play coming back inboard there if you're not going to hit your player. You're always going to take the chance of the opposition picking it up, and it doesn't take that much from out in the half-forward line for a goal to be scored.
West Coast have a bit of a dilemma with their kick-ins. I mean, Wirrapunda, we know, has been there a little while, but of course McKenna's been the kick-out for the last 10 years, Dennis.
Pardon me, Ben. McIntosh has got it in the back pocket. That's right, hard to replace. Guy McKenna. Nerves of steel as the ball comes up towards the wing, and McKernan takes a good grab.
I think you'll find that's young Antonovic's playing. He really needs to be a little bit closer on McKernan.
McKernan goes with his centering kick. Wirrapunda with the run, knocks it away from Rocker, roving the pack brilliantly. Banfield gets the hand pass off. Antonowitz kicks it down towards half forward. Doing pretty well was Carroll with the body, knocks it down in front, taken by Matera to Kemp, the old firm. Kicks inside the 50, and Troy Wilson comes up and takes the mark on his chest. Well, he played on. Carroll wasn't expecting it. Comes back to Wilson. He runs outside the 50, kept his head and pops it around the corner and finds a man just outside the 50. I think it's Haynes.
He's a one-man band, isn't he, there at that moment?
Very unlike the full forward to handball, that I can tell you.
What about the quick hands, though, from Peter Matera? That was what really set it up when he fed it off to Dean Kemp. Troy Wilson. It's been pretty exciting so far tonight.
So Haynes going at it from just outside the 50. Good-looking kick too, sliding it across the face. Wilson up in front, a fumble down in front. That was Abraham, and it's pushed towards the line, and the Kangaroos prepared to concede a behind.
Just going back to that Dean Kemp kick, just on about the half-forward line on his non-preferred foot, his left foot. He just brought it inside beautifully, and I'll tell you what, if Troy Wilson can see Dean Kemp with a footy on the half-forward line, he'd be licking his chops. It was a great kick.
Goes out wide, Makepeace takes the mark. That whole Wilson scenario, of course, very interesting. Drafted at the age of 28. And I suppose he was a more exciting player, probably a fitter player, and there's a good mark on the outer side from Stevens. About 5 years ago, Troy Wilson, in his prime at West Perth, as the kick comes from Harvey inside the 50, reaching over the top. McIntosh, and he's penalised. Well, this will be interesting to look at in replay.
Didn't look like anything too different than what Ashley McIntosh has been doing for the last 10 years. I mean, it was a battle of arms in there. The umpire, I guess, in his defence must have seen a bit of a pull of the jumper there, Dennis. But, well they said they're going to call it.
According to me, that makes 3 arms then for McIntosh. I could see 2 of them. Anyway, Rocker's got it. Just imagine some of the goal kickers in recent seasons. They could have kicked 200 with this rule in vogue. Have to factor that in to goal scoring this season, as Rocker has missed to the left-hand side. I made the point at the start of the game, he hasn't kicked too many goals in Perth. A total of 7 at Subi and 1 at the Wacker. So 8 career goals in Western Australia.
It's not a big return, is it?
No.
Considering, you know, he's got 514 behind him.
And again, I'm a bit rusty. Maybe I read it wrong. There goes Williams around the outer side. High ball, going back with a flight of it and taking a very good mark is McKernan. 7 minutes out from half-time. Corey McKernan, interesting kick. Wanders out towards King. King kept his feet, does pretty well a second time too. David King runs onto it. 65 metres out, sets it up. Oh, clever by Smith. Deserved to take the mark, but you don't get a second chance. He's like greased lightning as Wirrapunda. Comes away, slips the hand pass to Williams. Williams around the outer side, sweeping hand pass. Banfield's got it across half-back. Breaking towards the centre is Embley. And Embley takes it low down. Embley at half-back. Feeds it out wide. Well, that was a rush of blood. It actually has halted their progress a little. They lose momentum. Antonowitz still has the ball. Jones wanting it towards the boundary. He bypasses Jones and kicks it directly towards Sinclair. Through his hands, taken by Colbert. Back towards half-forward. Glass somehow tunnels it out. The umpire has paid a mark, has he? Harding. Interesting. What was he thinking? The ball comes back towards the corridor. Here's a chance for Grant. 25 metres out. Brilliantly tackled down there. Well played by Williams. Crashing in his Wirrapunda. Diving on top of it, McLaren. In claiming a free kick is Grant. And the umpire Fussell, decides to go across and ball it up.
Well, a couple of little skill errors there. Well, I mean, we put that down to the run. We can put it down to the early part of the season. One thing that I don't reckon changes too much is the intensity. They're still going 100 mile an hour, but the skill level will pick up during the season.
Here's a chance for Winston.
Goal.
Runs to the 50. His old teammate, his old captain says goal, and he's a good judge.
Well, he's too dangerous of a player just to have hanging off the pack and at least giving him 5 or 10 metres there. Drew Bantfield, unfortunately, he's done a reasonable job. Winston hasn't really been that much in the play. He's been pretty quiet so far tonight. But you'll see the ball will just be fed out here. He was just in the right place at the right time. And one of the best finishes in the AFL. And we must say congratulations too, because he's had a little baby boy over the holidays. Young Ethan, I think they called him.
Must be something in the air.
Yes.
So the margin is 6 points the Kangaroos' way. Taken out of the centre by Harvey. It was touched off the boot. It flies very high down towards half forward. Some hanging on, and it will be called against the Kangaroos. Well, some of those are going to be very tough calls to make, but Harding's got it. Harding has shown a propensity to go long. This time he goes square. Chambers has got it. Haynes is running for him. Gathers the bouncing ball on the outer side wing. Chambers runs on. That was well played by the young man. He's taken this mark forward of the wing. Callum Chambers is going to be a good player. It's all about self-belief, I think, at the moment. He kicks inside the 50. Jones onto the loose ball, feeds it out wide. Chance for Munro, comes back to the middle. Embley went back with courage, taken by Pickett. Pickett gets a hand pass to McCartney. Nicely done. McCartney hacks away through. Chance for the Kangaroos, 2-on-1, comes out wide. Williams, he beat the two of them. Well done. Knocks it out of bounds. An emerging young player, one of our favourites.
I don't know if the Eagles are just falling down across that half-forward line, not having that big tall forward there, Ben. Wilson's doing a good job up forward, but...
Some holding on again. That's where it gets very ticklish. McKernan's getting the free. For the life of me, I can't work out just who was doing what to whom. McKernan towards half-forward, in front. Almost got a free kick, Watt. Pushing towards the boundary line. Oh, it was Haynes, and they called it.
It's a little bit blatant. You've got to be a little bit more subtle than that, I think, when you're going towards the boundary. Just try and move towards your goals a bit.
Harvey inside the 50. In from the side, King. Almost a terrific grab. McIntosh gets it away. Harding, he's been very resolute. Throws this one on the boot. Here's a chance for Kerr. Runs onto the loose ball. Playing high school football only last season. Peter Matera gets on the end of it. Where's Wilson? Up ahead, he's breaking to broadcast side. Here comes Troy Wilson. He'll hit it hard with Archer, and he takes a grab. It's paid. Two hard hombres going at that one, and Wilson gave no quarter. Comes to the middle, spots a man, does well. Banfield's got it, and should kick a goal from 35 metres out.
Well, it was a great mark. He attacked that footy pretty hard, and you've got to attack it hard when Glenn Archer in the vicinity, but he had the poise to just pop it up then in a real dangerous position again. We've talked about it already, Maney, a couple of times, the West Coast Eagles. We see Troy Wilson there. I'll tell you what, if he does that this season, they will be a very, very good team. I mean, they'll be bordering on 8. I know they've lost a lot of players, but a hard forward can make all the difference.
There goes the kick from Banfield. He gets the goal.
Good to see Drew Banfield actually finish it off, because it's important that the Eagles just try and bridge a bit of that gap. Well, actually, we see them now equal with the Kangaroos. I wonder what Scotty Cummings would be thinking, because Wilson has been very impressive, and I tell you, if you're sitting on the sidelines and someone's in your job and they're doing fairly well at it, you have to still start worrying a little bit. It's only early seasons, but so far, well done by the Eagles, though, to claw their way back into this game.
Scores a level again. Approaching half-time, 33 points apiece, thrown up in the centre. McKernan gets it down to Harvey, getting a lot of possessions. Harvey, he's had 12 now as he kicks down towards half forward. King runs onto it, taken front on by Glass. Paddling towards the line is Chambers. Hurried kick around the outer side. This is Hum. Down he goes. Tapped out of there by Miller. Picked up by Glass. Got the hand pass away to Fletcher. He's in trouble. Where do these guys come from? They snuck onto the ground on the outer side. Charging in Munro. Close to the boundary line. Corcoran dragged down by Hum. And there's a whistle from umpire Fussell, who's paying a free kick to the Kangaroos on the outer side. The youth movement just charged onto the ground. They all materialised at once. Corcoran down towards half forward. Clears the pack. Being held was Motlop. No free. Still he goes, Motlop. Banfield all over him. Good shepherd from Rocker. Well played by Banfield, though. Kept his eye on the footy and gets it across the boundary line.
He's got pretty good balance, Drew Banfield. Very hard to knock off the ball. It's always very important to try and keep your feet. You're no good when you're lying on the ground.
2:44s. Motlop jumped to his feet, got it to Harvey. Around the boundary line goes the kick. Shannon Grant charging up, gets it, kicks it very high, but it floats precariously close, in fact, across the boundary line, and the Eagles will take the free. Chambers again in the back pocket. Hard against the fence. Callum Chambers. Banfield did the hard work, missed the mark. Young Smith goes after it, showing a lot of courage. Well done. Got it across to Harvey, who socked it off the ground. Half chance for the Kangaroos. It was missed initially down there. Battling on was Grant, but he was outnumbered. Chambers comes away, kicks it wide. Now an opportunity on this broadcast side for the West Coast Eagles. This is Miller. Nicely done. He kicks down towards half forward. Look out. Wilson on a collision course with a teammate who then copped one. That was Fletcher. And he showed a lot of courage. That was a hard knock, and Fletcher straight to his feet.
I felt that one.
Yeah, he stayed on the ball though, didn't he? He just lost it. I reckon he's hurting a little bit though.
That was a real nasty one. He kicks it down inside the 50. Pickett, good shepherd from McCartney. Pickett goes with the outside of the boot. Releases Corcoran, who runs up to centre half back, kicks towards half forward, and Conowitz works his man out of it, but didn't touch the footy. I've been impressed with Glass. Gets a hand pass away. Wirapunda across the ground. The clock running down towards half-time. And around the outer side come the West Coast Eagles once again. The kick from Carroll towards half-forward. Offhand's a chance for Jones. It's in there somewhere. Corcoran got it away. Makepeace a little slow. The kick was affected by the tackle over the head of King. Charging up the ground out there is Carroll. He was legged. He'll get the free.
Just seems to be a lot of loose men for both sides at the moment. They're not really playing that close, are they?
No. They're feeling it a bit, I think. Late in this second term. That should be 50. Stevens goes to ground. Nothing doing. Wilson arriving a step late. Stevens towards half forward. Worked out of it was Watt. Swooping on the loose ball on the outer side was Abraham. Wirapunda. In fact, it was Motlop who had the half chance initially. Wirapunda, though, stifles that. Comes away. Picks it up towards the wing on the siren. Well, the West Coast Eagles have surprised a lot of people so far. A lot of familiar faces missing, but they've shown a lot of pluck. And that man on the forward line so far, just the one goal, but he really has put himself about.
He's given a couple away as well. He gave one to Banfield, the last goal for the West Coast Eagles, but he just opens up the forward line. When you attack the ball hard, just so many other players can come into the play, and we've talked about that a number of times, and he's doing really well. I reckon it's great for a 20-year-old that's played 100 local games of footy here in the West for West and East Perth to get a chance at this level.
So half-time here at Subiaco Oval. As it was at quarter-time, it's all square. Perth, you don't expect much rain. In fact, this would be the first rain we've had in Perth for about 3 or 4 weeks.
Speaking of old heads, Dennis, the Kangaroos have David King and Anthony Stevens both in the centre. Looks like McKernan having a crack in the ruck too.
Start of the second half, and they've amended the scoreline. So the Eagles now lead by a point. It's 4-10 to 5-3. The ball still inside the centre square, and Conowitz, the first kick of the second half, sends it wide towards the outside half-forward flank. Haynes initially led in the race. Archer does pretty well and knocks it towards the boundary line. And I'd suggest that's a free kick, and it is. So the umpires showing consistency there. Haynes knocked off in the first half, the beneficiary this time as he comes back towards the middle. And the mark again is taken by Wilson.
There's a free there, Dennis, for holding. I'm not sure if it was on Wilson, but it goes to Simpson. Might have just been off the impact zone there that Wilson attended, but would have been a shot for goal, wouldn't it, for Wilson? He's been impressive.
That's right. Pickett kicks it up towards the wing, close to the boundary line, and out it goes. So a throw in.
Speaking of Byron Pickett, Chad Morrison's gone down forward line now, and Pickett's picking up him now. Morrison normally plays pretty wide of his opponent. I don't think you'll find that with Pickett.
McKernan, now some hanging on there. How do they see it? It's going to the West Coast Eagles to be taken by Antonowitz.
You're half a sniff to get a free if you put yourself in the action.
Well,
with
that's right, isn't
Dennis.
it?
The problem here for Tonovich, he's just got nobody to kick to on the half-forward line.
Antonowitz goes high down towards half-forward. Big pack at the back, a chance there for Hunter. Got the hand pass away, and now a free kick to Morrison. In fact, I think Hunter got that free kick for deliberate moments ago on the outer side.
He's got Fletcher, if he looks up, Fletcher's right in the middle there. A little bit slow there, Chad Morrison.
Morrison about 55 metres out. Only two men down in the goal square. One of them is this man, Hunter. Throws it on the boot, and it bounces through for a goal.
Well, he's got a goal out of nothing there, because it was 3-on-1 when Chad Morrison kicked that ball down. And young Hunter, who was pretty impressive last week in a scratch match, originally hailed from down south, I think it is, down in Bunbury.
Yep.
Yeah, played with Swans locally.
You would have seen a bit of him in the waffle.
He's actually a very good mark, Maney, and he throws himself at the footy, which is impressive for a young bloke.
So the lead is 7 points. The West Coast Eagles taking it right up to the big reputations of the Kangaroos. Harvey feeds a hand pass back. Stevens sends the ball inside the 50. Rocker goes up. Could have got a free kick. Nothing doing. Chance for Harvey. That was clever. It didn't come off, though. It comes back to him. In the pocket, Brent Harvey tugs it around the corner, whereupon it reaches over Smith and knocks the ball across the behind line. Thought for a moment it had gone out, but it is a behind, so 6 points the difference. But Harvey trying to go with the outside of the boot and get it past the oncoming Eagle there. Just missed out. This is Banfield. McIntosh goes wide. Jones needs to stretch, and he does. Rowan Jones, such a hard-working young player, comes back to the middle. Chambers wanted it most, stepped around his opponent King, goes to the ground. The hand pass not effective though. Watt gets the hand pass to Colbert. Colbert, the little chip out wide. This is King. King on the boundary line. Pro being kicked out towards the 50. Dropping back out there and missing the ball was Blakey. Coming through as a result, McIntosh pulls it back towards midfield. In front, Hum couldn't control it. Harding goes to the ground. Hand passes to no one in particular. Coming up to meet the ball was Chambers. Spills to Antonowitz. The two youngsters combined. Well played by Harding. Knocks it across only as far as Hum. Hum kicks it down towards half forward. Here's a chance for Harvey again. Putting himself about Brent Harvey, possibly now the best player on the ground. Missed by Stevens. Comes to Colbert. Colbert at half back laconically. High ball. Didn't really look. Tailor-made there for Harding. That's Harding of the Eagles. Two of them on the ground now. Kicks back towards half forward. It's taken again by Harvey. Wrong foot's Hum. Settles. Kicks down towards half forward. Antonowitz did well to knock it forward. Now here's a chance for Harding. Didn't control the ball before he made his move. Antonowitz throws it on the boot. Hum couldn't control it. Knocks it across to Kemp. To Banfield. Arches the back. Gets away. Drew Banfield running down towards half forward. Well blanketed by Colbert. It ricochets down towards the pocket. Harvey put out of business. Simpson goes for the boundary line and finds it.
I don't know about you, but Brent Harvey's been sitting back there, and that's almost his third position in probably about 3 minutes. Someone from the Eagles needs to go and pick him up.
Don't reckon his possessions are hurting the Eagles though too much, Maney. They haven't resulted in any shots at goal.
Simpson, that was clever, falling to the ground hurriedly by Hum. Very high ball, fisted away by Sinclair. Roving the pack is Fletcher. Tugs it down towards full forward. How will it bounce? It favours the Eagles. Was it too high on Hunter? Not according to the umpires. The hand pass came from Archer. Releases King. He loves a dash. King kicks it up towards the wing. Good finish too. So often when you go for a run, it's hard to finish, but David King spotted a target. Abraham runs away with the ball then. Down towards half forward. McKernan, good grab. Unfortunate he fell over. There's a man on Blakey. He gets to his feet. Blakey is still free. Jones overcommitted. Blakey could have gone on. He settles and will take a shot.
A pretty tough kick from out there.
John Blakey.
He's fresh.
In the rain. Slides it across the goal face. Missed down there by Rocker. Knocked towards the boundary by Wirrapunda. Out of bounds. And there's our Ansett future flyer, Dylan Smith, number 6 in the draft.
We're in two minds then, Blakey. Will he have a shot for goal? Probably better off just to pop it at the top of the square.
Throw it. McIntosh thumps it down. Banfield. Fletcher's on. He lost it though. Couldn't get it across to him. Fletcher's still skirting the packet. Could come out to him. He's knocked over though. McIntosh with courage dives in there. Rocker on top.
Ball, yeah.
Well,
tough one.
It is a tough.
That was a tough one.
A courageous man not paid. But still, he dived on the ball, and I guess, despite the conditions, the umpire's showing no compassion.
He'd be dirty on that. He's played pretty well tonight, Ashley McIntosh. We see him just get that big frame of his and do the old, I really am trying to handball that one out, umpire. Please believe me. Sav, he's been reasonably impressive, but I reckon McIntosh has had his measure. Typical dour display from McIntosh tonight. He'll probably get punished, though, here.
Okay, Sav going at his first goal of the night. 40 metres out, and he's got it. Scores back level.
And just watching all the Kangaroos players there after Sav kicked that goal, they've come from everywhere. I just kind of get the feeling just at the moment that perhaps the Kangaroos are just starting to lift their work rate a little bit better. The senior players, they've got more of their senior players on the ground. You've mentioned Blakey, Stevens, King's certainly back onto the ground. So the Eagles have just got to try and hold on here. They're a little bit younger.
McKernan's been very good in the middle. He's dominated the centre bounce.
40 points apiece. The umpire tosses it up. McKernan hooks it down. Fletcher tries to shark it. Slung. Hand passes towards half forward. Chance for Stevens. Hurriedly off his step. Floats it through the centre. King. Sweeping hand pass. Not all that effective. Harvey made it look okay. 70 metres out. Goes looking for Rocker. That great closing speed of McIntosh knocked it away. Applies a tackle. Rocker still has the footy holding it, says the umpire. So now McIntosh gets a free kick, but of course it doesn't pay quite as much at this end. Ashley McIntosh drives it out wide. Up goes Pickett. Came down hard. Makepeace, well played. Threw it on the boot. It bounces towards half forward. McIntosh once more. Nimble around the corner. Jones. Fletcher left it behind. Jones soccers the ball forward. Coming through is Smith, spins out of trouble, gets a hand pass away to Pickett. Pickett inside the centre square, sets it up. Wirrapunda was pushed in the back, but the mark is taken by Glass. Matters not. Wirrapunda takes the hand pass from Glass, swings it out wide. Trent Carroll, he started well, it's been steady throughout. Antonowitz on his defensive 50.
This is where the Eagles are falling down now. Just trying to get that longer kick, just trying to get over their half-forward line.
Harding under pressure. Very high kick. Floating right near the boundary. Embley did well to give a contest. Goes after it. Thumps it forward. He'll run on again. Brilliantly picked up by Stevens. Could have been taken high. He was, and he'll get the free kick. Advantage is paid. So Makepeace across half back. Well, as it turns out, not much advantage in that kick. Sinclair over his head, but King backs up nicely, breaks away, goes towards half forward. In front, a strong mark is taken there by Watt. Watt about 70 metres from goal. High ball, plenty of Eagles at the drop. Williams came hard, a double fist towards the boundary, close to the line, and two players slide across with the footy. Harding there, both of them actually, a brace of Hardings, and a boundary throw in.
If you're going to be a defender, there's no better example than what you saw there from young Andrew Williams.
Abraham goes long down towards full forward. Almost a clever mark. Pickett knocked it back towards the middle, but he had no support. Wirapunda. He's in rare form already. Looks terrific. Banfield swings it out wide, and the clever mark is taken out there by Antonowitz. He's mobile.
Yeah, he looked good there. He's got to move around because McKernan certainly has beaten him in the centre of the ground of those duels.
There goes the kick from Fletcher down towards half forward. Matera, little shimmy close to the boundary line, pulls it around the corner. Wilson left it behind. Plenty of Kangaroos back there. King to Colbert. Short one is on. McCartney down low, controlled it pretty well. Kemp on the outer side steps across the line, and a boundary throw-in.
Just going to make a comment about Peter Matera there, whether see him move up onto the ball or perhaps into the back line. He's been very well held by Simpson. Haven't seen too much of him, and he certainly plays a big part in getting the Eagles moving.
McKernan with strength knocks it wide. Haynes, Kemp falling to the ground. Morrison gathers the bouncing ball. The kick wanders down towards half forward, not too precise. Getting a fist in there was Archer, and a secondary fist sends the ball towards the boundary line. Chambers keeps it in. Harding in trouble, looks for Chambers. Harding is there. Chambers knocks away. I know it's confusing. Both Hardings in the action. Well, the hand pass came from Hunter to Harding. Back to Hunter. Hunter about 80 metres from goal, looking for Wilson. Hit him in the face. And the ball's out of bounds. Boundary throw in.
I think you're right about Peter Matera, Chris. I reckon they do need to make a move. I reckon the game is about to be blown open by someone like a David King just through sheer explosion. So Matera in the middle will be good for the Eagles.
Pickett and Matera on a collision course. Great tackle. Matera took him down, wanted a free kick. Speaks to the umpire. Nothing doing. It's out of bounds in the pocket and will be thrown in. And that would be like a bag of wrought iron coming at you. And Matera did brilliantly. I remember you made the point, Chris, last year at the, where was it, SCG?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, and I've been the recipient of one of them, and boy, he hurts.
Knocked down by McKernan. Running into a dead end. I think it was King, and then it's Colbert, and he's going to get a free kick for being taken high. He was a bit lucky. Kangaroos looking for a big season from this man. Lee Colbert, injury problems, came across from the Cats where he was captain. By his standards, a disappointing year last year.
I reckon they need to know where to play him, Dennis. He's an absolute utility in the true sense of the word. He can play anywhere, but I reckon it hurts him occasionally not having a settled position. Motlop
dropped the mark, recovers, kicks up towards midfield. Harding, who's playing on Harding, takes the mark, gets the hand pass away. King is enjoying this suddenly. He's doing a lot of running, David King, up towards midfield. Little chip pass intended for Blakey. Coming through hard out there was Glass. Glass towards the boundary line, was tackled, lost it. It was well played by Sav Rocker. Watt tried to come back to Rocker. Harding put the body in. Rocker hasn't got the footy, surely. And the ball is out of bounds.
Darren Glass has been sensational. Absolutely brilliant across that half-back line. He's been doing a lot of the bullocking work. He's not afraid to get in there. He started off pretty well last year in the pre-season games too. Ended up playing something like 14 games, so looks like he's started off a game well this year.
Smith hurriedly inside the 50. Back goes Fletcher. Up comes Wirapunda. Stopped it pretty well, and that wasn't easy. Kept his head. Got it to Fletcher. Fletcher in the back half then. Runs away. Kicks to midfield. Should have done better. Didn't look. His kicking tonight has not been good. Normally it's a feature. McKernan takes the mark.
I like the look of Smith, the young bloke from the Kangaroos. Just his ability to kick about 40 metres off 2 steps was impressive.
Coming back with the flight of the ball down there was Haynes. Reading it brilliantly. Wirapunda got the hand pass back to Haynes. Haynes drives it back to midfield. Archer again. So just for the moment the Kangaroos have locked it in. Chips it out wide, breaking things up. Close to the boundary. Pratt knocks it back. Jones dives on top of it. Could have been holding it. Picked up by Haynes. Close to the line. Kicks up towards the wing. Awkward half volley. Archer didn't have the ball. Socket off the ground towards the middle there eventually by the Kangaroos. Makepeace went down. In comes King. He's the meat and the sandwich there. Harding and Hum. And we'll have a bounce.
You kind of just get the feeling the boys are a little bit tired going into this third quarter. They're hammer and tong, and the skills are just dropping off a little bit. The ball's on the ground quite a bit.
You don't expect it to be wet either, do you?
No, not really.
Ball inside the 50 for the Kangaroos. Here's a chance, swooping onto it, Pickett. Open goal beckons, he goes in, and I think he may have missed, has he, or has he not? He's missed. It happened quickly, but he missed to the right.
You're exactly right about not expecting it to rain, Dennis. At 5 o'clock this afternoon, I was down the beach having a lovely swim, so conditions have certainly changed in that time.
It's still pretty warm, but that drizzling rain is continuing to fall. We're a punter.
Dean Kemp coming off, and Kerr coming back on, and greeted by an Anthony Stevens side bump.
Not a good kick from Wirrapunda. It falls in short. Jess Sinclair just finding his way in this team, surrounded by some of the biggest names in football. He'll be a valuable player for them. King working hard now. Abraham put it on the ground, goes after it again, comes across to Sinclair. Sinclair's kick is very high. Go after that. Missed by Williams. Trying to burrow through as Abraham went to ground. Glass gets a hand pass out to Morrison. Morrison had the hand pass stifled initially. Harvey did the good work. Morrison goes back and finds it and kicks it out of bounds.
Hasn't been a bad matchup in a performance there by Callum Chambers and Jess Sinclair. They're both playing on each other. They've both had quite a few possessions. And Jess Sinclair, I think it's now the 4th Fremantle Docker that's ended up at the Kangaroos.
No, don't go down that path, mate, please.
Boundary throw in. Fletcher hurriedly.
They got one back. Peter Bell, of
yes,
course.
yeah, no.
Peter Mann. Boundary throw in. Right on the 50. Rucks lock up. McKernan. It's going to be a free kick, and it's going to Antonowitz.
Yep, that was definitely on. Corey's taken a big, huge handful of Antonowicz's jumper there.
Well, he's got the footy now. Huge handful of the footy. McKernan goes down towards full forward. McIntosh gets back. And speaking of Peter Bell, he got one of the great shirt fronts of all time last week, and I mean all time, in a practice match when the Dockers played amongst themselves. This is Haynes. Haynes across towards the middle, taken by Glass. Good composure, runs away, kicks down towards half forward. How will it bounce? Obligingly for Archer, who proceeded then to have it bounce off his chest. Knocks it across towards Stevens. Charging into him was Hunter. Bouncing off Archer was Stevens. Throws it on the boot. Pickett with courage. Did it go 10? Play on's the call. Could have almost been holding it. Archer tries to knock it through the pack. Stevens goes to ground under a tackle. It spills to Archer. Archer kicks it. And it finds a teammate in Pratt.
Good endeavour by both sides then.
Pratt kicks it up towards the wing. Fisted away by Williams from Abraham. Out wide. Hump comes across. Missed Abraham. Abraham goes after Williams, and Williams knocks the ball across the line. Did you happen to see that shirt front last week, either of you? Practice match?
No, I can't say I did, Dennis.
Okay.
We're taking your word for it.
They were topping up with a couple of Claremont players to make up the numbers, and a young fella just been on the ground 2 minutes, and it is the best shirt front I have seen in the last 5 years.
Well, that's how to make a name for yourself. He hasn't got his name on TV, but certainly the incident.
Well, the franchise was lying on the ground for a long time. Meantime, here's Pickett. He's across half back. Kicks it up towards the wing. Over the top, Blakey. It stays in. Stevens smothered off the boot, goes after it again. Simpson wanted his left side, which took too much time. Pickett, Matera, brilliantly done, kept working at them. It was terrific, but eventually they scramble it forward to the Kangaroos, and Blakey gets it to Rocker. So they persevere, as Matera did on the outer side, but it's the Kangaroos now with a chance to get a goal and Sav to get his second. And so far, all solitary goal kickers in this game.
Just a great smother there by Peter Matera, but not only that, it's just the follow-up. It didn't result. I mean, it was 4-on-1. He had no hope, but just a great work ethic from the champion.
Sav Rocker from the Peter Simic pocket. He kicks from about 40, and he's got it. So he's got 2.
Well, he's certainly been handy, the big fella. And as you mentioned, probably just the perseverance there from the Kangaroos has resulted in a goal. You can't take anything away from the pressure that was applied by the Eagles. But in the end, just a little bit of experience. There's John Blakey, over 300 games. And of course, Big Sav, who, as we mentioned, 7 kilos lighter. Seems to be that little bit rejuvenated. And he's definitely out to prove a point this year.
Fitness Committee, Chris Mainwaring and Ben Allen at Subiaco Oval getting a pleasant surprise. Good game of footy, tight game of footy as Stevens knocks it down towards half forward for the Kangaroos. But you get the feeling the Kangaroos are making their move now. King down towards the pocket. Wirapunda left it behind. McIntosh did well, but he was in no position to go and get the footy. And Watt kicks a goal. Or is it Rocker? It's Rocker.
Just that little bit of a touch of a run on now, and it's a real dangerous situation for the Eagles. They've really got to stop that. And it's out of the centre where most of the damage is being done, isn't it?
Well, Maney, I don't know if you noticed then, but if you have a look at the centre bounce, ruckman for West Coast, it's actually Trent Carroll. Antonowitz has come off the ground. They've gone into the game without Gardner, without Turnbull. Cox has come off injured, so the game, I reckon, is poised just to be broken up. They've got Watt in there. It was a great follow-up and a great goal.
So the biggest margin in the game so far, it's out to 13 points. And Carroll goes up and actually wins it down. Stevens tracking it back towards half-back. Big scramble picked up by Fletcher. The Eagles could do with the next goal. Going back with great courage down there was Colbert. Finds it on the ground, heads for the boundary line. This is close to the boundary, it's a cross. One Eagle was trying to keep it in, the other was appealing for deliberate. So we've got a boundary throw in the pocket. Carroll did well last time at the centre throw-up. This time it's Hunter who'll compete. And McKernan is hanging back as well with Carroll. In front is Watt, controls it down brilliantly. Archer's got it. Close to the boundary line, Harvey. Banfield gets the hand pass away, but there's going to be a free kick. Holding on, and it's going to the Kangaroos. I suppose if we talk about the centre circle, it's hard to get a line on it simply because of the mismatch tonight in the ruck itself, Ben.
Yeah, McKernan's been pretty good. I think he's been the dominant ruckman in there and used his experience to gain that advantage of getting into the other ruckman space. Of course, Gardner and Turnbull not rucking for the West Coast Eagles tonight. They've gone with Cox, who's come off injured.
That would tell us more about the centre circle, obviously. Abraham played it brilliantly to McKernan from 60. Down towards full forward. In front was Smith over the top. Wirapunda. Smith battles on. Wirapunda gets him. A chance for Glass. Played it well. Knocked it across to McIntosh. Still Smith battles on. Look at him go, the youngster. The number 6 draft pick last year. Worked his heart out there for little or no return. It came eventually to Harding, who clears the zone. McKernan missed it. Stevens waiting behind, and some of the big name players now getting busy for the Kangaroos. McKernan's got it. 60 metres from goal. Some of the lesser lights meeting the challenge for the West Coast Eagles. Kerr did brilliantly. Motlop goes with the outside of the boot. It's missed down there by Carroll. Tackle by Smith, forced the error. Picked up by Severio Rocker. Thought about his fourth. Goes to Abraham in the pocket. Comes back into his right boot. This is a magnificent effort. Wonderful snapshot, Winston Abraham. Mid-season form.
Well, take your head off both players on both sides there. We saw young Daniel Kerr in his first game put a great smother on, but the ball's managed to stay inside the 50-metre zone, and it's ended up with a man who has got to be one of the best polishers in the game. Sav Rocker, who's done very well so far tonight. And of course, Winston Oman, who's very good at that evasive skills and loves just coming around on that sweeping right foot of his.
Winston Abraham gets his second goal. It's the 9th for the Kangaroos. They led it 9-5 to 5-10 now. Abraham, 27 goals last season compared to 37 in 99. He'd like to get back to that form. This is Banfield. The cross half-back taken high. Advantage paid. The hand pass, though, too slippery. Good umpiring. It came from Williams to Matera. He couldn't control it, and the umpire decided that was no advantage. He's bringing it back to Banfield, and that was, I think, right at the tolerance level for advantage. As Banfield kicks it down towards half forward. Big pack up. Simpson roving the pack, throws it on the boot. Motlop. He's a classic customer, Motlop. 30 seconds to go in the term. He drifts in and takes the mark. So the Kangaroos will need to motor forward if they're to get a score before three-quarter time. I notice Embley's cramped up. He won't be the last either. Motlop kicking towards centre half forward. Dying seconds of the term. McKernan was worked out of it. McIntosh comes through. Rocker soccers off the ground. Leading in the race out there initially was Haynes. Coming through as Cochrane. Cochrane picks up the ball close to the boundary line. Brought down solidly by Hum. Loose ball spills wide of the pack. Morrison, good poise. The kick, though, not particularly effective. Abraham getting an appetite out there, coming through Fletcher. There's the siren. Good turn. And the Kangaroos, particularly in the last 7 or 8 minutes, looking pretty impressive. They met the challenge. The West Coast Eagles sticking with them, but the Kangaroos just pulling away in the latter half of the term. Sam Rocker has 3 goals now. Abraham has 2. And that pair have broken the game a little apart. 9-5, 5-10. Ken Judge still having a word to his charges, but the Kangaroos on their way out for the final term. Let's go down to Adrian Barrett, who has another well-known face, a former Docker, now a Kangaroo.
Thanks, Dan. Yes, Matthew Spider Burton. Spider, welcome to the coverage. Just tell us about your hand, first of all. What's happened and when will you be back?
Yeah, I did this about 10 days ago in the boxing ring, and I got another about 3 or 4 more weeks out, so just back in time for the season proper.
The boys are looking okay today, starting to get a move on now.
Yeah, the last 10 minutes of that quarter was excellent. We kicked some goals and started to play real well.
Yeah, Sav's had a couple of kicks too. That's good for the club.
Yeah, he's had a lot of kicks and 3 goals to this point in time, or maybe 2, but he's been great. Dennis is happy with him.
Any of the kids impressed you?
Dylan Smith's been excellent tonight. Yeah, I think Jess Sinclair's been pretty good on his wing.
Righto, Spide, before you go home, there's a big day tomorrow for the Kangaroo fans in Perth. Tell us a bit about it.
Yep, at Langley Park, and the boys said to start at the west end of Langley Park. Adam Lang, David King and Winston Abraham are going to be there from 11 o'clock for a couple of hours.
11.
You don't have to be a member or anything, but get on down there if you're a North Melbourne supporter and say hello to the boys.
Fantastic, Spide. Can't wait to see you back. 11 a.m. Langley Park for all the Kangaroos fans. You'll be there, Spide?
No, I've got to go home.
Oh, you've got to go and have treatment. Good on you, mate. Dan, from the boundary, and Spide, back to you.
Yes, thanks, Adrian. Dylan Smith, 7 possessions so far. The youngster, one of our Ansett future flyers. I know the Smith family watching back in Melbourne at Channel 7. Proud cousin, Brad, producer with Channel 7's footy. He's having a good game so far. Up against quality opposition, which makes it more worthy. We'll have learnt a lot tonight. Wirapunda's been in very good form, and he's not half-hearted, Wirapunda. He's come back to play good football because he's missed the last 9.5 months. Start of the final term then. West Coast Eagles with a job to do, and Corey McKernan gets a free kick immediately. Plays on. Probing kick inside the 50. Oh, almost a great mark taken down there by Rocker. Not paid. Off the ground by Blakey. Hits the post. The second poster of the game. The Eagles have had one.
I think the Kangaroos will be looking to finish this game off pretty early in the piece, Dennis, with McKernan, Stevens, Harvey and King starting that quarter in the centre.
Almost a mark there to Big Sav. Suddenly he's got a taste for it. There goes McIntosh wide towards the outer side, reaching over the top and knocking away as Watt. And the ball goes out of bounds.
The Eagles made a couple of changes there at 3/4 time. Probably one of their better players in Chad Fletcher is finding himself on the bench. So Ken Judge just rotating, and Andrew Embley, who's sort of been playing as one of their tall forwards. So the Eagles could struggle up forward in this quarter.
Off the boot of Harvey, out of bounds on the full. Important season for David Antonowitz too. Came across as an early draft pick. Completed his studies here in Western Australia. That's how young he was.
Could be make or break, I would say, Dennis.
Yeah, so you'd like to see him do well, wouldn't you?
I don't reckon he would have expected to do so much ruck work tonight, Dennis. I know they came in a little bit light on with only Dean Cox as a recognised ruckman, but he spent a fair bit of time in a position where he's not really accustomed, I reckon.
Yep, Banfield, high ball around the outer side. Watt was up, missed it, found it on the ground, couldn't control it. Close to the boundary line, Hunter tries to stop it. Simpson missed it. Picked up by Antonowitz. Hurried kick up towards the wing. Bounces close towards the boundary line. Coming through as Munro, upended. And Archer tracks it across the line.
Dennis, the news on the Eagles ruckman Dean Cox, he did have a hit on his knee, but it's not serious apparently, but obviously not going to play any further part in this game.
Thanks, Barra. Boundary throw in. Taken by Antonowitz. Hand passes back towards the boundary. Out it goes. Now, Barra, I believe you've been thwarted in your endeavours to find out about those reports.
Yes, apparently, Dennis, there were several reports, but at this stage I can't get it out of the umpires, but I haven't given up hope. I'm going to try again.
Well, they're very good to thwart you. Archer gets a hand pass out. After it goes Harvey. Interesting hand pass. Gives it to Simpson hurriedly around the boundary outer side. Coming up to meet the bouncing ball, McKernan. Back to King. King gave them some life in that third term. After it goes Glass. much improved player on tonight, certainly. Gets it away to Harding. He's fitting in nicely. Drives it around the outer side boundary line. Coming through is Matera. It's going to be a free kick, I think, or is it out of bounds?
It's
free kick.
Yep.
Bit of Matera.
Well, they're hoping for him just to fire a little bit in this final quarter. Give the young fellas a bit of a lift.
Well, on last season's exposed form, he's the leading goal kicker out there for the West Coast Eagles. Centering kick, committing hard was Wilson. He upended Colbert. It spills across towards young Miller. Miller goes down towards half forward. It runs free at the back. Both the man coming up the ground, Morrison, and Simpson let it go. As a result, the beneficiary is Matera. Floats one down towards full forward, but Stevens goes back and takes the timely mark.
We didn't see much of Troy Wilson in that third quarter, did we? It only went into the West Coast Eagles forward 56 times compared to 16 to the Kangaroos, so they were dominant that third quarter.
Simpson kicked it around the outer side, cleverly played out there by Abraham, and King was taken high, and he'll get the free. He was the spark, really, I think, David King.
Yep. He just breaks the line very well with his pace. When he gets possession of the footy, he just goes hard for the first 10 and just gets away from anyone that wants to lay a hand on him.
Smith to Motlop, 55 metres out. Good looking kick to Wirapunda goes back. That's class. Unhurried, just let the ball come to him. Players coming from all angles.
He's just clutching his left hamstring, Dennis. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. Let's hope he's okay.
It was a lazy kick. Pickett comes back towards the middle. Down goes Harvey. Through comes Motlop. Swings it. Too much. And behind. How's he looking?
I think he's okay. He's just
got a bit of a knock, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully it's a knock, not a little twinge.
But it's as though he hasn't been away, isn't it?
He can play, the boy, there's no question.
He's worried about something. He's shaking his leg down there, and now there's going to be a free kick to the Eagles up the ground.
That's going to Kangaroos, is it?
Why is he bringing the ball back from where it was? Surely that penalises the Kangaroos. Ben, can you write an essay on that? There goes the kick it from Pickett down towards the full forward area. Grabbed there by Smith, who pulls it back. Taken in the square by Pratt, and the youngster kicks the goal.
Well, we're all a little bit dumbfounded on what happened there, but what has resulted is a goal to young Daniel Pratt, and it looks like David Wirapunda is coming off the ground. So, Ben, it looks like your analysis of his injury could be spot on there.
Well,
not bad for Mutto.
I'm sure the supporters will be happy. It's higher up on his leg, not near his foot anyway.
And young Daniel Pratt, ex-Queensland under-18, he's actually their youngest team member, so probably pretty lucky to find himself in the side here tonight.
10-7, 5-10. Kangaroos with their experience and their class just starting to pull away now. Thrown up in the centre. McKernan comes charging in, wins it. Knocked on by King towards half forward. Trapped down there by Watt. Trying to soccer it off the ground was Miller. Going after it is Fletcher. It's going to be a free kick come back to Blakey, though, here for the Kangaroos. Some of these boys playing for the Eagles tonight. And, of course, I guess for the other team as well, as we see Smith signalling to the bench. I think he's got a problem with a hamstring. As Blakey kicks inside the 50. Grabbed down there by Hum, hurriedly kicks it back towards the wing, helped on its way by Miller. They come from all directions. Antonowitz and Makepeace. Makepeace played it well. Motlop to King. King's high ball down towards Rocker. Rocker camped in front, angled away by McIntosh and out of bounds. That may be more than a hamstring, is it? As Smith hobbles off the ground, aided by a trainer. Back comes Sinclair. So Dylan Smith off the ground. Hopefully he's okay. Barrow will be across to find out quickly. Hot property, that youngster. Top 10 pick in the draft. Jones tracks it towards the boundary. Just making the point, a lot of these guys out on the ground tonight played schoolboy football last year. Look over your right shoulder, or your left shoulder for that matter, and you see a Corey McKernan or an Anthony Stevens, Glenn Archer.
It's amazing. Daniel Kerr's played the total of 2 under-18 games or Colts games. It's just an amazing stat, but that's just the nature of the competition as we see it.
Yep.
Well, one of the things the Eagles will be looking at is just really to see how their players finish off. Many times last year they just allowed games just to completely get away from them, and I'm sure tonight probably pretty hard for them to get back into this game, but the coaching staff will be just looking to see whether these boys have a bit of toughness in them, a bit of discipline in them. And speaking of young Daniel Kerr,
just outmarked his teammate.
It was Hum who kicked in the ball, a Victorian youngster, highly thought of. This is King again, liked his game. Talk about the youngsters, but he's a key ingredient in this Kangaroo lineup. Down goes Kerr, very much the meat in the sandwich. And of course, David King flirted with the idea of coming to Western Australia. The Dockers courted him, but he stayed with the Kangaroos. Kerr outmarking Morrison. Blakey gets it from McKernan, but misses to the right-hand side.
could have been pretty punishing that, couldn't it, eh? As we talked about before, getting on the defensive side of your opponent. Blakey almost just had a free run at the goal there. Jones lucky enough just to get some pressure on him. Had a pretty good season though, Rowan Jones, last year.
He was solid, very solid.
John Blakey, the other side of the ledger, talking about the youngsters, but still he gets the job done. Such a valuable player, can fulfill so many roles in any team. Interesting to note, he's 15 marks against Port Adelaide as Banfield takes a mark. That was in round 12 last season. The most by a Kangaroo in a single game. You think about the Careys and the McKernans, but Blakey can play tall or short on occasions. Hum towards half forward, Wilson on the lead. Colbert gets the hand pass away. This is Sinclair, swings it out wide, 2-on-1. McCartney takes the mark. How will Carroll play it? Well, he had no option, couldn't do much. Makepeace released around the outer side. Carroll chases earnestly. The kick down towards half forward. Motlop almost, he'll get a free. Quality young player, Shannon Motlop. Developing all the time. Had some wonderful moments last year. McLaren on his chest.
That was a good little pass, Dennis, from Motlop. You mentioned, I reckon you're a bit of a rap for him, but that's almost one of the most difficult kicks in the game to get right. When you're about 60 metres out, it doesn't look that hard. I'm sure Motlop won't make it that hard, but just have the vision just to pop it up into space. Looked easy on tally, but it's a difficult kick.
Joe McLaren, former Saint, kicks off hands. It's a live ball in the square. Holding is the call, and Savroka, is it? It's going to get the free kick and kick. I would imagine his fourth goal.
It's going to be a very interesting rule already tonight. We've seen quite a few incidents.
I can just see Tony Lockett getting his boots out and thinking, let me at him.
Do you think the new rule favours different types of full forwards?
No, I think it favours them all, some more than others, as Rocket comes in and kicks the goal. And probably with the passing of time even more so, because I think fullbacks then will be very loath to make body contact.
I suppose then the fullbacks will be relying a lot on their players to actually push back to sort of fill those gaps, especially a fast leading full forward, because many of them have often been tugged. You weren't happy with that?
I'm not quite sure where that one came from. Rocker's kicked 4 goals tonight. He's been solid, but I reckon McIntosh has been the West Coast Eagles' best player.
Severio Rocker's got 4 goals. Well, there must have been some holding on there, I thought, in the middle, but there's no free. Either way, Carroll hurriedly onto the boot. After it goes Pickett. We've seen a lot of rule changes in recent times, but invariably they bring quite a few problems when they arrive to solve others. Coming away from half-back, the long kick from Makepeace towards half-forward. Reaching over the top down there was Glass. A scramble at the back of the pack. Nicely played by Abraham to King. King's kick inside the 50. Only as far as Jones to McIntosh. And he comes away. This is Harvey. Kangaroos applying good pressure now. Pickett short. McLaren comes up and takes the mark on his chest.
Speaking of the other rule change, Dennis, the centre bounce circle, I think it certainly favoured the Kangaroos tonight. Just McKernan with his experience, who's been able to, as the pot shot at goals just missed. Was it a goal? Just missed. I think it certainly favoured the Kangaroos tonight. Just their wily veterans that they've had in there, they've been able to just get on top of the young West Coast Eagles, the ruckman in particular with Antonowitz, and we've got Trent Carroll having a run in the ruck now, and I reckon if you added up his total time spent in the ruck, it'd be 0.
I can't say Trent Carroll looks really comfortable in there, does he?
Well, he didn't come to be a knock ruckman, that's for sure. Kemp finds Miller. Miller's away from half-back. Kicks up towards midfield. Coming hard was Munro. Camped in front and doing it well was Fletcher.
Great positioning.
Fletcher kicks down towards the 50. High bouncing ball. McCartney charging through it. Comes back to Kerr. Must have been carried forward. No free kick. Play goes on. McCartney stands up in the tackle. He's strong. Got it across to Archer, who's wrestled down. Here's Pickett. Pickett heads for the boundary line. Close. And eventually Stevens takes it across. Well, I'm amazed that Kerr didn't get a free kick there moments ago.
Well, so it doesn't matter who you barrack for. I think we'd all have to agree that
he slightly took him down on the side, but it was definitely forward.
He did try and turn him, didn't he? Kemp goes into the pack. Bodies go in willingly. Blakey throws it on the boot up towards the wing. It's missed there by young Pratt. Harding got it to Glass, only as far as Pickett. Juggled mark, he was held in any case. He was paid the free, advantages paid. Colbert chips it across towards left half back, breaking away McLaren. Some urgency in his game. He was quiet early, although he had a job to do. Kicks inside the 50. McIntosh tries to punch it away. Glass did well in a tight situation. Antonowitz got it from Kerr. Kicks through midfield. In from the side is Watt. Makepeace a half chance, crawls after the footy. Eventually it's picked up by Colbert, tries to get past Banfield, didn't succeed. Socket off the ground by Pickett. It goes out towards Abraham, missed him. Sinclair a half chance behind then. Abraham a good shepherd, bought some time for Sinclair, running down towards the 50, pulls it back towards the middle. High floating ball. McKernan, is it down there? No. Going in and getting the goal in any case is Pratt, his second.
Well, I wouldn't say the floodgates are exactly opening, but
I think they're open, mate. They've kicked the last. They've kicked the last 7.
Okay, I didn't want to hit it too hard. Okay, all right.
It was a great kick from Sinclair. Just kicked it to the dangerous side. He just had to have the right amount of weight with that ball. Just allowed young Pratt, I think it was, to you know, just get on the dangerous side there and beautifully execute a kick from Sinclair.
12-9, 5-10. David Wirapunda off the ground, and also Dylan Smith. Hopefully we can get some news from Barra on both of those players. We've got a whistle, holding again. This time it's a free kick coming back to Kemp. There's Wirapunda.
I know the free kick's going towards Dean Kemp there, but the Eagles are getting beaten very much forward in the centre square. You'd think they'd have a defensive person on the bounce downs.
Adrian, what news?
Dennis, David Wirapunda is fine, just a no-risk policy with him. And Dylan Smith, he has strained a hamstring, his left one. Bit of bad luck for the young boy.
Rotten luck. Morrison throws it on the boot. Wanders down towards full forward, and Simpson escorts it across. It's not a sellout by any stretch of the imagination tonight, but this crowd has built up during the course of the game. A late arriving crowd. Here's Sinclair, possibly 12,000 or so at the ground as Stevens goes out wide looking for Colbert. Takes it out of bounds.
They should have been able to just bring it in that touch easier than the Eagles on their kick-ins have the ruse tonight.
And Dylan Smith looking on now. So he'll miss a couple of weeks. Coming through is Harding. The hurried high ball from behind Morrison, no option. Punches it away from Glenn Archer. Who appeared to be good-natured there. Playful little tap on the back for Morrison. What's the world coming to?
Pre-season is just...
Here he is again.
The game didn't start like that, though, did it?
Hey?
No. Glenn Archer. What a warrior. So often a barometer for the Kangaroos. He sets this standard. Ball across half forward for the West Coast Eagles at the moment. Kemp sockers off the ground inside the 50. Lucky, but they'll take it. Peter Matera has marked about 35 metres out, slight angle, and should kick this.
You'd have to say Ken Judge would be happy certainly with the first half of the West Coast Eagles. The third quarter they sort of hung in, but been a little bit disappointing this last part of the game, hasn't it?
Just weight of numbers. I mean, they are so professional, North Melbourne. You look at the guys who played in all their matches last year. They're all playing tonight. Grant, Simpson, Blakey, Pickett, Harvey and King. That's a pretty solid group.
Matera kicks, and kicks well. It's a goal.
Goes without saying a much needed one. And Peter Matera hasn't had the best of nights. Again, has probably been, well, or fallen into the trap of getting caught out niggling a little bit. And he really is just such a better player when his mind is just completely on the ball and electrifying. We saw him there in his chase and tackle in his second and third efforts. And the younger fellas really want to see that out of Peter Matera.
Interesting situation at the toss-up there. Only one man to the right as we looked at it. All the others congregating on the left. Kerr grabs it, kicks down towards half-forward. It pitches on the line of the square. Runs on inside the 50. Makepeace in a tight situation did well. Heads for the boundary line. Just had the carry and it trickles across.
Well, that's the first time for a while, Dennis, that the West Coast have had a clearance from the centre bounce. Trent Carroll again in there, but Kerr was pretty good effort just to get the ball on his foot pretty quickly and got it out of the centre bounce.
And Tonowitz goes after it. Williams off the ground inside the 50. Taken by Pickett. Kicks wide looking for Rawlings, who takes the mark at right half back. Blakey trots on. Gathers the ball 20 metres closer to goal. Runs up towards the wing then, John Blakey. High ball towards half forward. It bounces just wide of Rocker, who was reluctant to come. Leading back in the race is Glass. Somehow got it on the boot. McIntosh, no doubting where he's headed. Out of bounds, it will be a boundary throw. And having sung the praises of the West Coast Eagles and their youngsters tonight, and we thought coming in it might have been Tyson versus McNeely all over again, it's been a pleasant surprise, but it's tough sometimes when you're the Kangaroos to get up for that sort of game, knowing that you're expected to win, should win, and will win. Now there's another free kick, and it's going once more to the Kangaroos down there. Sav Rocker. Not much doubting that, I think. He was the man in front, and I'd suggest, Ben, that's the place to be. Yeah, that was fair enough. I think Ash was a bit wool. He's coming off as well. I reckon he's been pretty good tonight. I know Rocker's going to probably come away with, well, he's lining up for his fifth, I think, but a lot of them have come from free kicks. This will be his third shot of goal from a direct free kick, Rocker.
They were bringing Ashley off anyway, who had nothing to do with that incident.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought it would, but the Kangaroos, Dennis, are just a professional outfit. Every time they put on their blue and white jumper, they're out there to win.
Sav Rocker kicks and narrowly misses. Nice touch, though. You show you disagree with the decision when you just leave the ground. I mean, it's beneath your dignity to stand on the mark. That's it. Didn't like it. I'm leaving.
Dennis, it begs the question, you have to change your style of play if you're a fullback now under these new rules.
I think you bring a kosh. Short one to Glass is a little bit risky. But what about the downside as far as the Kangaroos are concerned, Chris, coming into a game like this, trying to get themselves up when they know, I think, in their heart of hearts what the result will be?
Well, yeah, although the one thing, you know, they've always been pretty good pre-season, Dennis. They've always had a pretty good go. I mean, their record speaks for itself. I think they've won 2 premierships and been runner-up 3 times in the last 10 years. And I remember seeing Spider Burton, who we saw earlier on tonight, making the statement that Dennis hates to lose, meaning Dennis Pagan, no matter at what time of the year it is. So I think the Kangaroo players come to expect that no matter what time of the year it is, they've got to put in a performance.
Well, it's pride in their performance. Yeah. That's what they're great at. Can you imagine asking Glenn Archer to go half-hearted, Dennis, before the game?
I don't think they switched on until after half-time, though, did they?
No.
Short one comes across to McLaren. That free kick was played against Andrew McCarry, just on the ground. Another player who hasn't played much football.
It's almost sometimes you sort of say to the opposition side, well, look, let's see what you've got, and then we'll sort of come in at half-time, assess the situation.
McLaren's kick is very good. It's a goal.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, when your sides are very good, and this is not such an important game, you often sort of try to work out the opposition to see how good they are, see what they've got to offer, and then, you know, they've come back out after half-time, as we said, and really sort of stamp their authority. Sometimes you can fall into a trap because you find it pretty difficult to get back. Benny would have played in the Hawthorn days, and you know, you leave yourself a little bit short sometimes, but I think the Roos are always going to get over the top of the Eagles tonight.
13-10 plays 6-11. Kangaroos starting to pull away now. Miller hacks it out of mid-air down towards half forward, taken by Embley on the bounce, running away from his own goal, feeds the hand pass across. Chambers runs forward of the wing, probing kick inside the 50, going back with courage with Stevens. Advantage is paid. There was more hanging on. There's been a lot of that. It's rampant. There goes the kick towards the outer side from McCartney. Camped over the ball out there. I think it was Rawlings who was clattered into. No, it was Blakey. Coming away with the crumb is Motlop. Goes to half forward, finds McLaren. Joe McLaren getting busy in this term. He'll be a handy pickup. He pulls it back towards the middle. Williams lacking support, realizing it, soccers off the ground and concedes a behind. Just looking at the Kangaroos tonight, do we think they'll be a better side this year or not? Because the finals disappointing last year for them.
Yeah, they were. That loss to Melbourne was certainly disappointing. Look, I think they've got their top 8 players are as good as anyone going around, Dennis. They certainly know what they're doing. They're just solid. Their good and their bad performances are very, very close together. They get a bad spate of injuries to those top 8 players. I think they could be in a bit of trouble, but you know, out of their best side, only really Wayne, Carey and Martin are out tonight, aren't they? So it's a pretty strong team that they got in.
Nicely done by Kerr. Gets it to Banfield, draws a man, goes over the top. This is Miller. He's on the wing. Plenty of support. Now it's gone past him. He goes alone. A centering kick made for Wilson. He comes from behind and takes the best mark of the night. Well, they cramped up in unison there. It's like synchronized swimming, only it's synchronized cramping. We've got Wilson and his teammate hobbling away down there. That's Trent Carroll. There goes Wilson. That wasn't his best effort. I think he cramped up again. Now, that is a terrible feeling.
He is cramping up, actually,
I would say Ben at about 3 o'clock tomorrow morning is going to be very dangerous as well. Isn't that a feeling when the leg suddenly goes on you? You sound asleep. Anyway, enough of that. Enough reminiscing. Eat more spaghetti. Down goes Jones, showing courage. Diving in was McCarry. Socket off the ground there by Blakey. Blakey tracks the ball inside the 50, dragged to the ground. And there's going to be a free kick, and it's going to the Kangaroos. And I think will be taken by the veteran John Blakey.
Hey, Dan, not a bad crowd here tonight for you. 16,095.
Thanks, Barrett.
One thing I just seem to have also noticed is that the Roos certainly seem to get their players not only deep back into defence, but they're also pushing forward very well. Whether they've got a better fitness than the Eagles at this time of the year, but they certainly seem to be running the game out a lot better than the Eagles.
John Blakey directly in front. This will be his first goal if he gets it. And it's a nice finish.
Actually, just looking around, there's Byron Pickett's in the middle doing some stretching on his calf, so perhaps his first hit out is it's only natural, I suppose, that it does take its toll out of him. And there'll be some very sore and sorry boys tomorrow. Young Chris Miller's been quite good for the Eagles since he's come on the wing. He's been very good in certainly getting off the line there and getting through to the middle net, offering an extra man.
So the clock running down. 14-11 plays 6-11. King out of the middle. Was knocked down brilliantly by Watt. Long kick inside the 50. Leading back is Pratt. Can he get his third? He tried to. He missed it. The ball trickles across the line. There's the siren. So the Kangaroos win it, but not without a fight. At halftime, the West Coast Eagles led it by a point. But finally, it's 14-12-96 to 6-11-47. The Kangaroos win it by, 49 points.